Wow, aren't we lucky to have heard that original recording of a young teenage boy in 1573 putting a bit of hair product into his quiff. Simply remarkable. Hello and welcome back to the final couplet with me, Theo Cowan. Another week, another sonnet. But first, Shakespeare news. Let's have a little look what's in the world of Shakespeare news. Typing it in, what have we got? Cast announced for Pinocchio at Shakespeare Globe. That's not quite what we're looking at. Julia Roberts shows her love of Shakespeare with bold look weeks after it debuted on the runway. She's got a jacket on with William Shakespeare. His face in multiple areas of the jacket. It's on the back, it's on the front. His face 3 times. Oh my god, and she's wearing a sort of t-shirt, a long t-shirt underneath it, which also has loads of Shakespeare faces on. So yeah, Julia Roberts, big Shakespeare fan by the looks of it. I can't tell you if I like it or not. It's certainly a look, but good for her. She's showing her love of Shakespeare. Maybe I should get that jacket. That might look quite good on me. Then I can roam around the streets and talk about the Shakespeare sonnets and look as cool as Julia Roberts. And that is Shakespeare news. It's a slow week for Shakespeare news, to put it bluntly. Right, this week we're looking at Sonnet 123. Let's take a listen, shall we? No, time, thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids, built up with newer might, to me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight. Our dates are brief, and therefore we admire what thou foist upon us that is old, and rather make them born to our desire than think that we before have heard them told. Thy registers and thee I both defy, not wondering at the present nor the past, for thy records and what we see doth lie, made more or less by thy continual haste. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true, despite thy scythe and thee. So there we have it, Sonnet 123, and you know what? It's great to have Shakespeare back talking to time again. It's been, God, what has it been, 20 or so sonnets since he last talked to time? He sometimes likes to do this if you're new to this podcast and for some mad reason you've just dipped into Sonnet 123. Maybe it's your favourite sonnet, not for me to pass judgment on. But occasionally Shakespeare likes to have a go at time. It's never been a nice relationship. He sort of hates time. And every now and again he'll just slot a sonnet in that has a go at time. Usually it's to do with aging. He hates aging, and time plays a big factor in aging, in case you didn't know. But this one, he doesn't so much mention age. It's more saying time is trying to trick him, and time is dressing up old things as new. And then he also makes this statement to time at the end that seems to be about being faithful. So I don't really know what time's got to do with being faithful, but look, Shakespeare might be losing his mind a little bit in this one. But obviously the last, 5 or 6, 7 sonnets have all been about Shakespeare potentially being unfaithful. So it's obviously on his mind. Right, let's dive into this line by line and work out what the hell Shakespeare was going on about in this one. So we start with a big bold, no. Time, thou shalt not boast that I do change. So I think we can assume that no means no, all right? No, time, you're not going to boast, all right, that I change. You're not going to say, oh, look, you're changing, Shakespeare. No, I'm not having any of it. So stop that, time. Then he continues with, thy pyramids built up with newer might, to me, are nothing novel, nothing strange. So these new buildings, and I don't think he necessarily means, just the pyramids. I think he's talking about, all these massive monuments that have been put up over time are not novel or strange to Shakespeare, which is quite the statement, I've got to say. Seeing all these buildings, he's going, yeah, nothing new to that, mate. Seen it all before. Doesn't amaze me. Get on with it. They are but dressings of a former sight. So now he's explaining what he means by that, because it's a bold statement. He's saying they're just replicas of what existed before. So these aren't new things being built. They're just replicas of older things that have already been built. So it's not that bloody impressive, actually. Our dates are brief, and therefore we admire what thou dost foist upon us that is old, and rather make them born to our desire than think that we before have heard them told. That's all one thought, really. And here, this takes a bit of working out, but here I think he's saying, look, our lives are brief, and therefore we admire things you, time, trick us into thinking anew, but actually they're really old. And we pretend those old things were created for us, instead of admitting to ourselves that people already knew them before. So whether it be monuments that he's talking about here, and previously he had another sonnet that he chatted to time about writing as well, about his own writing, where he mentioned that it's so hard to be original because actually loads of things have been written before and you're actually just copying what's in history. So here he's sort of repeating, he's echoing that thought, but I guess framing it with monuments this time. But really I think he means everything. Nothing is new. It's all old things dressed up as new. Thy registers and thee I both defy. So I defy you and your records, not wondering at the present nor the past. I'm not interested in the present or the past. Don't think about them. For thy records and what we see doth lie, made more or less by thy continual haste. So both your records and the things we see around us are lies. They are lying to us. Changed and distorted by your constant passing. So that's his statement to time there, really. It's all lies. And things change because you, time, are getting too bloody involved, being all quick and passing. And now we're on to the final couplet. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true, despite thy scythe and thee. So I make this vow, and it will always be true. I will be faithful, despite, essentially, you and your destructive power. You with your scythe, he's talked about this before, time having a scythe, a bit like death. Guess time and death are hand in hand, maybe they're the same person. So there we have it, Sonnet 123, Shakespeare having a go at time again. Good to hear it. Saying actually nothing's new, it's all just old, made up to look new. You're lying to us, time. You bastard. Anyway, I think it's time we put this to our story. And if you remember last week, we had this whole mix-up with The Notebook. I like to call it Notebook Gate. Shakespeare had received a notebook from the Earl of Southampton, and then he'd given it away because he thought, actually, it's all up there in my head. I don't need a notebook to write things down. And actually, that's going to make my memory worse. So he gave it to this bloke in the pub. And obviously, the Earl of Southampton saw the bloke in the pub with the notebook and was like, what the hell are you doing with that? And the bloke's like, oh, well, Shakespeare gave it to me. And so the Earl of Southampton confronts Shakespeare in the pub, and Shakespeare says, yes, well, I knew you'd be annoyed at this, so I've prepared a sonnet. And he prepared Sonnet 122, which he read to the Earl of Southampton in the pub. Let's see how that was received and how Sonnet 123 fits into all this. Shakespeare finishes reading Sonnet 122 to the Earl of Southampton. The Earl of Southampton says, I knew you'd have a bloody sonnet to explain this away. But at the end of the day, I gave you a present and you gave it away. You know what, Shakespeare? We need to talk about things. You got to stop being so impulsive and giving stuff away like that. I mean, just have a chat with me. Say, thank you so much for the gift, but I'm worried that my memory will start to go and I won't hold all these amazing thoughts of you in my head. And I would go, oh, that's so sweet, Shakespeare. What a lovely thing to say. Don't worry about the notebook. I still love you. But what you did is you went to the bloody pub and you gave the notebook away without telling me. And I'm sick of it. First of all, you cheat on me. And Shakespeare goes, but yes, I did cheat on you, but you also cheated on me. So let's nip that in the bud. All right. Because we both did it and we've talked about this. The Earl of Southampton says, yes, I know we've talked about it, but now this. I mean, it's one thing after another. We were just getting on so well, and now this happens. Shakespeare, I'm going home. And Shakespeare said, no, don't go, please. And the Earl of Southampton says, as time goes on, Shakespeare, I'm getting more and more weary of you. And I wonder whether we should even be together. Good night. And with that, he flicks his coat behind him and walks out of the Nag's Head pub. Shakespeare, still at the bar, calls for Maggie. You remember Maggie, the bar lady. And she says, what do you want, Shakespeare? And he says, line me up 4 pints of ale. I'm getting pissed. And Maggie says, oh, classic Shakespeare. And she pours 4 pints of dark ale for Shakespeare. Shakespeare knocks them back one after another and he goes, yeah, bloody hell, as time goes on, I'm not sure if I can be with you. You get a grip. So what, I gave the notebook away, who cares? And no one's really listening to him. He's sort of talking to himself here. And eventually he goes, you know who's to blame for this? You know who's to blame? Bloody time. When was the last time I had a chat with time? It was probably a few months ago I had a chat with time, and time is still playing it large, giving it the big one. Well, I'm sick of it. I need another chat with time. And so he stumbles out of the pub. He's walking past St. Paul's Cathedral and other such monuments in London at the time. And he goes, yeah, look at you, St. Paul's. You're actually not new, mate. You're not new. You're old. You just look all new, but you're not. You're old. And that's time. That's time deceiving us. He's deceiving us all. And a group of young men walk past him and go, what are you talking about? And he goes, shut up. Don't worry. Leave me alone. Time's deceiving us. Have a good night. And they all walk off laughing. Eventually, Shakespeare arrives at the clock tower where he last had a conversation with time all those months ago. And he says, hey, time! Hey, time! He stands in the little square, waiting for the clock to reply to him. Wake up, time! I've got a bone to pick with you, you bastard! The clock ticks slowly. And Shakespeare says, all right, you're playing it, You playing it like this, are you, time? Well, let me read something to you. On my way here from the pub, I wrote a sonnet. And the clock, hardly audible, goes, oh, God. And Shakespeare says, what was that, time? Time doesn't respond. He says, yeah, well, I've written this sonnet, and it's all about you and your trickery and what you're doing to my relationship. And I'm going to read it to you now. Time again goes, oh, please don't. And Shakespeare said, what was that, time? That's what I thought. Can't say anything now, can you? And so Shakespeare pulls out Sonnet 123 from his back pocket and, stumbling around the square, shouting up at Time, the clock, he reads Sonnet 123. No, Time, you're not going to boast that I change. Your pyramids, recently built, are nothing new to me, nothing out of the ordinary. They are just new replicas of what already exists. Our lives are brief. Therefore, we admire things you trick us into thinking are new, but are actually old. And we pretend those old things were created for us, instead of admitting that people already knew them before. I defy you and your records. I don't care about the present or the past, because both your records and the things we see about us are lies, changed and distorted by your constant passing. I make this vow, and it will always be true. I will be faithful despite your destructive power. So there we have it. Shakespeare shouting up to a clock again, thinking it is time itself. And maybe it is, but he has had quite a few pints of ale. So who's to know? Join me next week on the final couplet to find out what 124 is all about and how it fits into our story. Until then, bye.